Please give it up for another comedian making a Caroline's debut, Richard Stella, everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Richard. I used to teach math at a high school that had students whose parents were very wealthy. Let me tell you, it was depressing teaching there. Because during winter break, these kids are heading off with their parents, going to some exotic place. When they would ask me where I was going, all I could say was the Fiji Islands, courtesy of the Travel Channel. And it was even depressing when they came back. I had a student gave me the ceremonial tribal mask that she picked up in Africa. All I could give her was a bottle of Fiji water. And I'll tell you, these kids, they celebrate Halloween a lot differently than I did. When my neighbors opened up their door, I said, trick or treat, trick or treat. What do these kids say? Cash or credit? Cash or credit. And sometimes it's hard getting them to understand that math is important. Here I'm trying to teach them how to use the Pythagorean theorem, and they keep asking me stupid questions, like, when am I going to use this in the real world? I tell them, someday you might be on that TV show Jeopardy. They might ask you a question about that and you'll be able to answer it. And I'll tell you, they didn't give me much respect either. As far as they were concerned, the only difference between me and that maid that they had at home was my Spanish isn't very good. And they didn't like the household help telling them what to do either. I had a student fall asleep in my class. All I did was ask the kid next to him to wake him up. The kid gives me attitude. He says, you put him to sleep, you wake him up. And I'll tell you, these kids today, they do crazy and stupid things without thinking about the consequences. I had a girl in my class, she came over here to the Big Apple with her friends to have a good time. Well, before they go back to Jersey, they stopped off at a tattoo parlor down in the village. Well, first thing she does when she comes into my class on Monday morning, she lifts up her blouse. And she says, look what I got, what do you think? Well, we all thought they were spectacular. And that rose tattoo she had, that looked real nice too. They looked like real roses. But I'll tell you, when class was over, I told my student that his behavior was very inappropriate, asking that girl if he could smell the roses. And I made him apologize to her for saying that. And I reminded that little miss, look what I got, that what she forgot to do was a violation of school policy. Show and tell required a signed permission slip from the parent or guardian. We even have a doctor's club at this school. And it's scary because one of my students is always forgetting things. If this kid ever becomes a doctor, he's going to forget to remove that clamp from his patient before he closes up the incision after surgery. But you know what that means? Some poor bastard is going to have a tough time at the airport trying to explain to security why that alarm keeps going off. But I'll tell you, I feel sorry for these students because their parents put a lot of pressure on them to get good grades so that they can get into college. Some of them even cheat. I had a student I know he cheated. Because when I graded the test of the student sitting next to him, he wrote down as his answer to question number 8, I don't know. The kid that was cheating, he wrote down, me neither. And some of these students, they even resort to trying to bribe you. I had a student turned in his test. He had a $100 bill attached to it with a little note. It said $1 per point. Well, I graded the test. He got a score of 40. I gave him the test back and $60 in change. I had a student that even offered me $500 if I would give him an A in the course. He said he needed it to get into Stanford. Well, I told him I was highly offended that he would ask me to do something like that for only $500. I mean, I have high standards. You give me a mill, maybe we can do business. I might get fired, but hell, I don't care. I can retire at that point. And one of the graduates from this school, he is a big-time politician these days. And he rose to power with a political platform that only has 4 words. Less government, more donuts. And he's dropping hints that he might be running for president in 2016. He sent some of his staff members down to the White House to check it out, see what wall they're going to have to knock down so he can get into the building. But he has good core values, deep down. I mean, he believes in that adage, it's better to give than to receive. And when he was in school, he received a lot of harsh words from his students when he got out of line and caused problems. Okay, now when these teachers show up at his town hall meetings and they scream and shout at him and give him the finger because he's trying to take their hard-earned benefits away from them, he gives back. But they said to him many times, sit down and shut up! Sit down and shut up, which is what I'm going to do now too.